Hey guys, how you doing? Well, evening has come. Still got light out there. It's hot. It is hot. Just absolutely worn out. Let's see. For you guys, if anybody is new here, my name is Rick McWorth. I live down in Key West, Florida. I have a sort of astigmatism in our eyes that's called the dyslexia or something. Maybe it goes further, maybe deeper into my brain. What it does is in dyslexia, from what I'm to understand, since you know it's me, is things can set themselves up in the same spot. Like say the number 5 can become an F out of nowhere, and things just sharing the same spaces. And so, you know, if you were told to spell something that's T-H-I-E-R or T-H-E-I-R, good luck with that, you know. To know the difference between T-O and T-O-O, you know, that's kind of easier, but not really, you know. I don't know when to use the T-O-O correctly. And numbers jump around. It's kind of hell. It's kind of a hell. Whereas you'll see something, but then you write something else down, or you want to do something and it comes out kind of backwards. It was what you saw was one direction, but like I usually use this when someone's creating a fish or something, and the scales on them are, you know, are being water dynamics. You know, the scales are going a certain direction on the fish. That you could sit there and do this with a bunch of kids, and one or two of them just might turn around. They'll look at it and they'll just be so normal and so beautiful between what they see and what they've drawn, but it's so obviously, you know, opposite. All right. So in some ways that gives me an ability to see things that are sitting in the same place. And patterns. I have to look more for patterns, and whenever I build stuff and make stuff, you know, I have to use math. I actually draw everything up. Everything. From the little nail to everything, and I count them. Physically count them. And I call it counting my apples. Alright, so what I do is I don't debunk the Bible so much as that I've learned how to read it correctly. Even by the Bible has a way to read it correctly. I've done a video of this earlier. I know it's a long time now from then. I might have to do a whole brand new one on it. But it actually has a system of how you're supposed to read it, and one of the main drives in this is not to take things by the letter, which is basically what we see, and take things more by the spirit, which is what we find, which we can't see. We have to look for it. So it's hidden in a way that we have to look to see it, and it becomes more like a treasure hunt. Because truly, what we're looking for is inside the text, not on its surface. So it's an idea of a treasure that we have to find. And on top of that, there are a series of numbers from 1 to 9, in almost the most simplest form of things changing or moving in a particular direction. Like 1, beginning, the source, the one, God, the beginning of something. 2 winds up being the creation, something that's made, or a combination of two things together. You know, this has become the creation. 3 is 2 and 1 put together. This is when creation, God's creation, and God himself comes together as 3. 3 is the divine intervention in most of all these stories. You add 1, 2, and you get 3 together. You get something beautiful. Alright? 3. 4 becomes worlds. Worlds are points of expressions in your mind, where your mindset is. And it comes the world. So it comes in a north and an east and a south and a west. And all of these are governing the 4 different pieces of your body, your mindset, you know. To the left, you're going to have your intelligence, all right? That's the intellectual side of you. It's black. The color's black. To the east, you have your spiritual side. This is white side, white. To the south, we have our skin. It's our skin. It's our body itself. It's the physical side of us, which is the pale side. And then to the north represents our emotions, and that's the red side. So these all play in the stories of the number 4. 5 comes in. 5 becomes the skin itself. All right. This is the 5, the brethren. This is the brethren coming together. The 5 senses. The 5 the 5 wounds of Christ. It's the sacrifice. This is the lamb skin. You are you become the sacrifice. You are the firstborn. You are the firstborn. This is how it works. All right. We give up our firstborn. We're going to learn a little bit more about that. So that is number 5. 6 is the accomplishment. After a series of these levels, this is the 6th chakra we're looking at right now. We're sitting up on. We're poised, getting ready to jump into the pool. All right, this is like right on the edge of everything. This is where you get fed most of the time, but most everyone is gathering together. This is what the herding is. They come in, let's pull them all together. Let's get everyone together. Let's get all of us together before we make this jump. All right, over to the other side, because this is what's important. The idea that you've come this far, and in a lot of places, this number 6 is where you get intervention. Sometimes where the devil comes in and tries to keep you from going this route. And you say, "Get behind me, devil," you know. So he gets behind you. It's really just these ideas that something is coming into your meditation that's trying to keep you from going this way. And that's generally the men in the town, which represents the carnal side, the male side of our brain. All right. As we are trying to exit it and go over to the right side, as we toss our nets to the right side of the boat. All right, so when that happens, 7 comes into mind. 7 is the next one in. Oh my goodness, it's like, wow. We have made it this far. Hell's breaking loose. There's shit flying all over the place. This is the time of purification. This is the gourd of ashes that falls from us in the Hopi tribes. The gourd of ashes is a purification, you know. It's the brimstone being hailed at us from heaven, you know, and it's just hitting us and just purifying, clearing out earth, and earth winds up being the lower mind. That's the whole part of this, is to clean it up some. And so, you know, when we get to like the burning bush, the bush is burning, but it's not consumed. This is the idea. You know, it's a symbolic representation of this purging situation that's going on within the body. And it's a natural thing when you go under meditation. When we cut off this flesh and take our wounds, our 5s, and give this up for sacrifice. There's a natural body rhythm that floats us up into a higher place in our world till we get to the ceiling, which is Gog, and then it falls apart, which is Magog, and it allows you to jump in. All right, that's 7. 8 pops in. 8 is completion. You know, the number 8 is like you made it all the way around. Now 8 is like, you know, wow, this is the new you. This is, look at you, check you out. You know, this is where, man, are these the same people from Galilee? You know, they sure look the same. They don't sound like the same people anymore. They sound different. But they sure look the same. That's what I get. So 8 is completion, and it's generally a banquet. And just gorging and food coming in all over the place. It's just, and they're not going to leave a bit of it behind. This is to show you how thorough this 7th chakra, this day of rest, the day of the Lord, darkness falls. This is what happens at this particular time. All right. Oh, something's gonna happen. Silver is thrown. silver. It's literally tossed all over the place. That's the moon phase where you've gone through transition with the waxing. Remember the waxing? Waxing shows up all. Her face was waxed. Waxed all over. And they waxed into, and they increased as they waxed. So I want you to listen to this as we tell all these stories too. Because it's really about our ears and listening. You got the ear to hear? Do you have the eyes that can see it? You know, do you have the heart in you that can understand? You get those three together, boom! I think that puts you right over this line with that number 3, the 3 together, divine intervention. If not, then not very far after that will something wonderful happen. We have another number, the number 9. Number 9 means consciousness. Regardless of it is, let's say that you actually start off with a 9 before we start off. You know, actually it's a 0. But 9 is the lower conscious as well. It's 666. It's the meat. It's the beast in us. It's the lower conscious. Comes down to the number 9. That's the animal side of us. That's why we're having to take this all the time, because it's the animal side of us that we're trying to get rid of. You know, haven't you ever heard that we are our worst enemies? You know, and if we could tame ourselves by listening to the Bible, if we look into the outside of the Bible, there's no taming. It's a lot of discipline and it hurts, and you'll never get anywhere. This is making lowly of yourself, and you'll never make it anywhere. As long as you think that you are not worthy and that you are wretched and stuff like that, I'm sorry, the lower conscious has you. It has consumed the dingo has consumed your baby. You know, if you can remember that from a episode on Seinfeld years and years ago. Anyways, that's 9. 9 is a consciousness, and consciousness, as you can see it as we are talking, is divided in half to the good person and the bad person. If you want to be a bad person, whatever that would be, remember that there's really no good or bad in this, but in this situation, a whole lot of bad can mean a whole lot of shit, you know. And whether you think that you're putting in on it or not, you are. Because the lower conscious, feeding from itself, is only just the lower conscious. It's not getting anywhere else. This is a frequency that we are living in. And if you never take this frequency up to a higher frequency to get clean, well, then a lot of shit happens. You know, it just is that way. Alright? So 9 has the higher conscious in it too, which is 144,000. It's all mentioned in the same script. That's the higher side. And when we get to the higher side of things, you're tossing your nets to the right side, and you've stopped feeding from the lower. Now you are leashed. Your mind, your mother and father are being honored, and you're doing the commandments. You're taking on the law. You're remembering it, and you're honoring it. You don't have to do anything else. That's it. That's it. And then, you know, like with me, it only happened like about maybe 3 months ago. It could have happened a year ago. But I only really started seeing it like 3 months ago. Started feeling it even. But, you know, they say that when the child is when you birth the child, and then it grows with you as you grow up. So, you know, maybe one day it just will be different. Maybe I will stop cussing and stuff like that, you know, and you'll see, you know, something change, you know. But it's not like one of those magic. It's not. This is not magic. This is something that happens within ourselves, and it rewrites us. That's why they say that the way to the new you, the new mind, to be reborn is to have the new mind. And this, when you do this, is called opening up the new heaven and the new earth. And because it's not what's outside, it's what's inside. But through all of this knowledge that I've been uncovering is that we directly affect what happens in the outside world. So what I've learned, and I participate in the outside, I've given it everything I have. Now, you know, I have to live and make a living and stuff like that, but now my thoughts and everything, I've leashed my mind to something higher, and I'm no longer feeding to that group anymore, and I have to, and I have to still work, you know. So this is what you call the balance, and what they call even, and that once you learn the law, you live your life and just keep coming in. Keep coming in. You're going to hear about this because this is what I want to talk about today. One of the last times, all right, so that's the 9, okay? And there's another little thing, but that's the most important one for right now. That 9 is consciousness, whether it's good or bad, all right? And what we are trying to do is harness the lower side of us and bring it into a higher place. That's it. That's all we're trying to do. And what we get out of it is a healthier mind. It's sort of like a McAfee system for the body. It gets rid of viruses. It gets rid of religion, you know. It sets on a bunch of plagues. If you don't do things, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So when we get into this reading now, I haven't done a Bible thing in a long time. One of the last things we talked about was we were starting to get into Exodus, and we wanted to blow Exodus out of the water, like I have with some of these other things. So like with Jonah and all them, but no one really even wants to read about those. It's important. Jonah's story was to show you that God doesn't kill with swords and stuff. You know, that God kills by you changing how you think. That's all God does. You know, you guys may want him to kill all kinds of things and murder all kinds of stuff, just like Jonah. Be so pissed off when you find out that, what? You mean God doesn't kill things? Ain't that a bitch? You know? That's the lesson that you're supposed to learn from that. Alright, so some things that we have missed out on is that we had just found, we have brought Moses and Aaron. Now remember, if you haven't been here before, we're all one person. Moses would be the outside him. In reality, he's also Pharaoh. So Pharaoh is the ultimate outside him, which actually becomes like the environment, you know, having the outside influence affect the self. And so this is Pharaoh. He's the one of the land, remember? All right. So what happens is they're all you're all one. Aaron is the one that he sends to speak with God. Aaron is the Levite. He's on the intellect side of things. What we had found out. This is where Moses has learned to. I don't have a good mouth, and that I will put words in your mouth. And he said, I'll talk to you, and then you talk, and it'll be Aaron speaking. So I mean, you know, it's one of those things you have to understand, because they're all three one. Even God is you. All right. So that's one of the ways that you have to read this. And he's been told, what am I going to do if my people don't believe me? Remember, he told him, and he says, well, what's in your hand? And he says, my staff. Staff or rod, I'm not sure which one. They either are, you know. There's my dyslexia for the story. But he says, well, hold on to the end of it, you know. And when he did that, you know, threw it on the ground, it turned into a snake. That's the Kundalini. You know, this is the way he's talking about. This is what they have to do in order to follow the law. And it freaked him out, but he grabbed the hold of the end of it, and it straightened back out again. So he's showing Moses, you know, this is how you control this. Because you're in total control. Well, what if they don't believe this? And he says, okay, I got another one for you. Here's what it is. He says, take your right hand and put it into your bosom. And then he pulled it back out, and that was like, oh my God, you know, his hands all white and leprous and dead, you know, symbolizing death. You know, this is the idea that we have to kill ourselves, go inside and kill. We're actually dying. You know, we're killing ourselves to go this route. You know, it's just a rough talking, you know. This is called dark language, all right? And you know, I say, you know, it's like he was showing him how to do this. This is what you should do. This will freak him out. So he freaked him out himself. Ah! look at that. And he says, well, put it back in. Put it back in. I say, put it back in. And now pluck it out. And pull it out. And it's, oh my God, thank God. It came back to the same. Listen, that's showing that you have full control over this. You know, we had just learned earlier that this is and earlier in the text before Genesis, before Exodus, that you got your choice. That's the whole idea, you know. All right, so they introduce these things. Let's see, things that we want to remember. I will redeem you with a stretched out arm. So think about that. That stretched out arm is always happening. He's asking Moses get Aaron to stretch his arm out, you know. So I guess Moses would be the one. Yeah, Aaron would represent the physical. Yeah, I guess that's the way it would be. But they take a choice. They're both the same. You know, I was just trying to look it up to see how it works. But we're looking right now at Exodus, book 2. And even though these look new glasses, they're not. They're old ones, and I can barely see with them. But I wrote all this stuff. We're going to start off reading those plagues, those 10 plagues. Usually the number 10 has to do with our skin. It's a duality situation because that's the number 5. 5 and 5 is 10. Remember, there's also the 10 versions of the 10 something or another. I think it's the 10 wise, the 10 versions. I don't know which one it is, but something happens like that. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I only want to do one at a time, and there's a lot of information, and this is already long. So maybe we can only do the little at a time, and I'll go through the plagues real fast, and then that'll be the end of it. And later on, I can do the actual pissing off of these guys. All right, because they go through, like, it looks like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They go through 11, almost 12 chapters with these plagues. So think about that, 2 and 3. You understand? Because they're trying to join us together. All right, so even the chapters are marked, whereas like chapter 12 is 3, the number 3, and it's just a wonderful little thing. It's the idea of Exodus. This is what it's going to take to bring us all 3 together, and it's just really cool. What happens when all 3 comes together? You know, now your God's on your side. You know, and all hell breaks loose for the other side, you know. But because this is a meditation phase, there's things that happen in between where, you know, go and talk to Pharaoh and then come back down again. Go and talk to Pharaoh and then he comes back down again. Go and talk to Pharaoh and come back down again. They did that 5 times. Let my people free. Do you understand? 5. To the skin. Remember, that's your sacrifice. It's just beautiful. All right, that's later on. I gave you a little precursor to something like that. But let's talk about these 10 plagues real quick while we got going on. All right, the first plague that happens is that the water turns to red. All right, and this is your emotions. All right, this is before the Red Seas and stuff like that. This is one of the first plagues. It makes it hard for them to eat and drink, they say, and stuff like that. But in reality, what it is this is the first phase of going in. You know, water is the truth, and red means spirit. And so it's really about that idea of cleansing. You know, and when you come out of it, you're clean. You don't even have your skin. All right. The second plague that comes about on this is frogs. And what I can think of as frogs, they said that these are things that, because the Egyptians held them so truthful, frogs are lies. And they go about, and see what happens is water is about the truth, and fish that are in the water that they call fish, you know, are individual truths. These are what is truthful. That's why we like to, you know, eat from these wells, and you know, and fish. The fish is a brain food, and that it's the soul that's hungry for the truth. And so what you find is in some of these stories, at the end of the story, frogs are used to go out and gather everyone together, so that no one is missed. And so that they're like the creepy crawly things that go down real close to the ground to make sure everyone's down. But they're being used symbolically. But in frogs, what this winds up being, this is the 7th chapter. The 7 is that, you know, that feast, the fire, the crazy part, whatever's going on. That's 7. But let's look at it. It says it's frog. It's also the 19th verse. So 9 and 1. 10. So it's absolutely, it's the 1. It's the 7th chapter, number 1, and it just says frogs. So it has to do with their belief system, and that they really don't want to kill the frogs. They venerate the frogs, so we had to put up with it, you know. And, no matter how awful they were, they couldn't kill them. They could only live with them. That's the idea. It's torture. All right. And this is what God puts on us, all right? If you don't let yourself go, this is self-inflicted shit, all right? That's crazy, just crazy. All right, so here's the third one. It's lice. All right, again, this is number 3 in the book. So 3 has to do with, there's a combination or something, you know. 8, it's the 8th chapter now, and it's the 16th verse. That's 6 and 7. That's 7. So 7, lice. Not so sure, but it sounds really itchy. Oh, I remember what it was. They made it out to be like lice. This is 7th chakra, 6, 7 to 7, and it says, hey, Moses and Aaron, get some of that ash. 7, remember, this is where something is burned. This is usually where the roasting or something is going on. And 6, yeah, it says 7. So he says, take some ash and sprinkle about this. And this brings on, you know, some kind of something. Oh, wait a minute, I might be messing that up. Just not think about it. I don't know what lice means just yet. All right, but I'll find out. But it has something. Has something to do with 7, all right, which is 7 is you know, over the 7th chakra is the completion of something. We go into the 4th plague, which is the 8th chapter, 21. That makes it 3. So flies and dog flies. So on our 4, flies and dog flies. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean. But 21 means 3. It's another 3. So a lot of these are coming down like 6 and 1, 7. This is 21. It's a 3. I do know that 935 is the 5th one. This is some kind of death that comes about on the cattle. This is a 5th is about your skin, so it's about the death of your skin. So we're getting caught back up on where we're supposed to be. This was some kind of plague called murine, and it killed a lot of the cattle, and it killed a lot of what, you know, we would call you know, some kind of stronger thoughts. This is the body. The body itself is considered the beast. So that's what we get from that. Okay, now we're going to the 6th. All right, so this would be the 6th ladder. This is where, you know, you're about to jump in, but we get boils and blains from this. And this is where, when you're on the 6th chakra, you reach down and pick up some ashes, and this is what brings on the boils and the blains, they say. All right, 7 shows up, and this is 8 and 9. 18 it is, I mean, it's the 9th chapter and the 18th verse, which makes another 9. So this is where the plague of hail comes. So we're just really, let's look more at the number 7. The 7th plague. A plague of hail comes. This is the fire and the thunder. You know that the 7th is this is the playing out of this of this hell and brimstone and fire from heaven that falls down upon the earth to preserve it. 8 becomes the locust, and they eat everything that's left over. This is 8. 8's usually the what we would call the the buffet, when you had to get food going on and everything like that. So this is, and it's the 10th chapter, the 4th verse. So 4, here they are eating your whole world, cleaning out the entire situation, their entire world, earth. All right. 9 comes in. 9 comes in, and darkness befalls the land. That's what 9, darkness, even. This is 20. This is 2 and 1. This is 21. This is 3. So this is the intervention of God's. This is the Lord's day coming in. All right. We have darkness that befalls the land, and it says what it says over here. Do I have this? 3 days. All right, this is the same thing with Christ, 3 days and 3 nights, and the idea of going to the darkness. This is after the 6th chakra, and this is showing up on the 9th here. All right, on the number 9, and number 10, which becomes 1, death to the firstborn. It's the beginning of the new chapter, chapter 11, verses 4 and 5. And so what you have here is you have birth, death to the firstborn. It's just really, really interesting because the firstborn is you. It's also on the number 5, which is our skin. All right, that's showing you how these are working out. All right, now those are the plagues that hit us. That's what it's going to take before, and the next part of this story that I'm going to tell you is going to how all that breaks down. How it is that from this point on they have to save themselves, because the idea is that I'm going to kill everything in Egypt, and if you don't have the places marked certain ways, this destruction, this thing that I'm going to put out on you is going to kill you. So there's the directions on how to do the Passover, and that's what this is about. So we're going to be attacking the Passover next. What we have just done right there was get you caught up from the past, where we've been already. If you need to go back in the past to find out about those stories about him trying to find out the Israelites, we've actually skipped over the Israels. We do know what a real Jew is. A Jew is someone who goes inside, who is an inwardly person. And that's not someone who is praying on the outside, wearing the box on the outside. That little. Remember how the Jewish people have that little top hat they stick up there. This is like to represent the tabernacle in some way. That's where they keep their truth. That's where they keep something, so they remember all the time. Because it's right on top of their head. Well, anyways, that's what happens when you wear religion on your sleeve. You're out there like all the other hypocrites to be seen, In reality, what God asked us to do and what Jesus asked us to do, these other teachers ask us to do, is to go and sit in your room, close the door, shut the door. The Lord's Prayer is set up so that it's did Christ descent into hell. People use it. I use it all the time. I've been using it since a child. I've always known it. But head, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Wait a minute. Let's see how this is working out. Number 1, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. 2, hallowed be thy name. Their heart, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's 3. 4, Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive the... Oh, wait, 4 is the stomach. When did you say 4 is the stomach? Am I messing that up? See, you learned by me messing up. Here's the stomach. The stomach is, give us this day our daily bread. Alright? That's 3. That's 4. 5 is, forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. That's the hard one. That's the sacrum. That's the one that keeps a lot of people down. There's so much hate. Someone was mentioning, how is it that it's the heart that's the lust, it's the heart that's dragging us down here anyways. Even if it's the heart and our desires that's going to bring us back up here, but, your heart has to be changed. There's a hardened heart, likes the lower side, likes the lower things in our world. And the soft heart gave in to the good side, or to the higher side. So the very last chakra, the root, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That's Christ's descent into hell. And then he grabs hold of you and brings you right back up again. This is where you die. Hopefully just, boom. This is, midnight. When they talk about midnight, it's what happened about midnight. Midnight is that low part on the big clock that I told you about of Earth. Right? It goes 6, 12, 9, and midnight. Midnight is the low end. That's where Jesus dies on the cross, in the same place between the 2 thieves, between the 2 Sagittarius and Capricorn. They're the zodiacal thieves. They both got, they have to hunt. What they mean is that you don't grow anything in those particular spots. This is winter. So right there is where the constellation of the crux is. That's where God dies. Jesus dies. This is where Jonah hangs out for 3 days. All of this. This is the 3 days. This is the spot. And at midnight, God comes to you. That's when Jesus, the sun in the sky, dies on the cross, and then it's born the next day, and it takes it up and takes you up until we get to the Aries, which is morning, right? Pre-morning, the new pre-day, the new day, the new you, the beginning of the new you, as you are brought over to Leo for your burning, the hottest time of the day. Get that dross burning, get thrown in there. Leo is the furnace, This is where the shit happens, man. That's where shit happens. Jesus meets us in the air and takes us over. It's just really beautiful. And anyways, I'm just showing you that, the New Testament and the Old Testament, they work together just beautifully. There's numbers and things to deal with, and it's just so much a smarter way to understand it and to think, later on I'm going to be telling you what they do is on this particular day, they're all supposed to get a lamb or something between each of the houses. And then all together at midnight, they slaughter it. And then they take the blood from everything, and they put it on the side post, and, and on the lintel, so that this Passover thing can happen. Can you imagine that? They do this in real life. Poor animals. Later on you'll find God says, who told you that I delight in such burnt offerings and in the blood? You give me blood. Who told you? Ugh, he says. Let's not do that anymore, he says. Anyways, just some more Jesus on you. I love you guys, and this is God's honest truth that we're revealing. Never happened. It absolutely never happened. But it does happen inside of you. Happy trails. Delta is ready when you are. Love you.